Acquiring a business? BizNexus simplifies it. Access thousands of updated opportunities in our DIY marketplace or supercharge team sourcing with OmniSource, your all-in-one platform for on-market, off-market, and coming soon deals. Scale smarter today. Learn more or book a demo at www.biznexus.com.
Disclaimer from the always present legal team. Podcast conversations don't necessarily reflect the views of BizNexus Incorporated. Everything you hear is informational news and updates from around the industry. We're not recommending any investments. We're not offering any investment advice. Be sure to do your own homework.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today.
Hi.
On the home goods sector.
Oh.
Furniture, appliances, all that stuff that makes a house a home.
Mm-hmm.
We're really zeroing in on all the mergers and acquisitions happening right now.
Right.
Which seems a little counterintuitive because with inflation and interest rates the way they are.
Yeah, you'd think
companies would be kind of
holding back a bit.
Yeah, playing it safe a little bit more.
Exactly.
But that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah, we've got this incredible report from Capstone Partners.
Okay.
They're experts in, middle market investment banking.
Yeah.
And they're seeing this huge spike in M&A activity.
Okay.
Way more than we saw last year.
So how much more are we talking about?
Almost 24% higher.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so help me understand this whole middle market thing.
Sure.
Because, it's not like I can walk into a Target and be like, oh, yeah, I'm here for the middle market.
Right. No, that's a good point. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot. It can be a little confusing.
Okay.
But basically, we're talking about companies that are, bigger than your small businesses.
Right.
But not quite the massive corporations you see on the stock exchange every day.
Okay.
So kind of like that sweet spot between, mom and pop shops and the Fortune 500 giants.
Gotcha. So Capstone's saying this sweet spot is seeing tons of these, buyouts, mergers.
Yeah.
But why now? What does the report say is driving all this activity?
So the report really digs into how the home goods market is adjusting after that pandemic-driven surge.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when everyone was rushing to upgrade their homes when we were all stuck inside?
Oh, I remember that very well.
New couch, better coffee maker, all that.
The whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And so naturally, things would cool down eventually.
Makes sense.
And that's what we're seeing right now, that slowdown in consumer spending happening at the same time as inflation and higher interest rates. So
you'd think everyone would just be like, whoa.
Exactly. You would think companies would be more cautious, but instead they're making these bold moves.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there are a couple of key players behind all of this.
Okay, so let's break down who these players are and why they're making these big bets when it seems like everyone else is holding their breath. Who's leading the charge here?
The report points to strategic buyers as the main drivers.
Okay.
These are often larger companies that are looking to expand their reach.
Go.
Maybe scoop up a competitor or jump into a hot new area like smart home tech.
So they're kind of thinking long-term.
Exactly.
Betting on the future of home goods, even with these bumps in the road.
Right. It's like they're saying, hey, everyone else is hitting the brakes, but we're going to speed up and grab more market share while we can.
I like that analogy. It's a good one. But it's not just the big players making waves, right? The report also shows this big increase in what they call financial buyers, like private equity firms coming into the mix.
Right.
Okay, so break that down for me. What makes a financial buyer different from a strategic one? Aren't they all just looking for a good deal?
Well, yeah, of course, both types of buyers are looking for a good return on their investment.
Right.
But strategic buyers often have a specific goal in mind, like, expanding into a new market or acquiring a technology they need.
Gotcha.
Financial buyers, on the other hand, are more focused on the pure financial potential of a deal.
Okay.
They might buy a company, improve its operations, and then sell it later for a profit.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a slightly different approach.
So these private equity firms are seeing potential in home goods.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they haven't been as active as these strategic buyers.
Right.
It's like they're dipping their toes in the water.
Yeah, cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what does all this merging and acquiring actually mean for, the average person?
Yeah.
Someone like me who just wants, a comfy couch or a reliable refrigerator.
That's a great question, and it's something the report addresses.
Okay.
One potential outcome of all this consolidation is fewer players in the market. If you think about it, one big company buys up a bunch of smaller ones. There's less competition.
And less competition usually means.
Right. Fewer choices for consumers.
Yeah.
And maybe even higher prices.
It's like that old saying, too many cooks spoil the broth. But in this case, it's like too few cooks and we end up with bland soup.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right.
Yeah. And it highlights why it's so important to understand these trends. The decisions being made in these boardrooms can actually impact what we see in stores and how much we pay for, those comfy couches and those reliable refrigerators.
That's a good point. Okay, so we've got this high-level view of what's going on.
Right.
But I always love to hear about specific examples.
Yeah.
It helps me understand how this stuff plays out in the real world.
Absolutely.
Does the report highlight any deals that really caught your eye?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One that really stands out is Ashley Furniture buying a resident home for $1 billion.
$1 billion. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a serious commitment to online furniture sales.
It is. It makes you wonder how comfortable people are becoming with, clicking buy on a couch they've never actually sat on.
Right. It really speaks to how e-commerce is really reshaping the furniture industry. Ashley is known for their massive showrooms.
Right.
But clearly they're realizing that the future of furniture shopping might be more about, scrolling than strolling.
Right.
It's fascinating. So they're making a bold move, betting big on the whole online experience.
Any other noteworthy deals we should know about?
Yeah, another one that jumped out at me was Sleep Country Canada getting acquired for a whopping $1.3 billion.
Wow. Okay, so we've got furniture giants going digital and mattress companies merging. What other areas of the home goods world are seeing a lot of action?
Well, the report identifies smart home technology as a real hotbed of activity.
Okay.
For example, Residio, a big player in smart home products, had its subsidiary acquire Snap One, a company specializing in smart living solutions, for $1.4 billion.
Okay, so smart homes are really having a moment. What's the report's take on why this particular area is attracting so much investment? It's all about the potential for growth. People are increasingly looking for ways to make their homes more convenient, more energy efficient, more connected.
Yeah, being able to control your lights thermostat, even your coffee maker, from your phone.
Exactly. And companies are racing to provide those solutions. So we're likely to see even more deals and innovation in this space, which is pretty exciting. But it also raises some questions about data privacy and security.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a smart refrigerator that tells you when you're low on milk.
Right.
But it's a whole other thing if that refrigerator is collecting data about your eating habits and sharing it with who knows who.
Exactly. It's a fascinating and rapidly evolving area, and one that we'll be keeping a close eye on for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got these strategic buyers making moves, financial investors dipping their toes in, and smart home tech emerging as this real game changer. But what about investor confidence overall?
Yeah.
Are they buying into this home goods story?
That's where things get really interesting. So Capstone actually created these custom indexes
Oh, wow.
to track how public companies in the home goods sector are performing.
Okay.
And you know what? They're doing really well.
Really?
Yeah.
Even with all the economic uncertainty we've been talking about, investors are still bullish on home goods.
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But it appears that investors are looking beyond just the short term
Right.
and focusing on the long-term potential of this industry.
Interesting.
So these indexes track companies in different segments.
Okay.
Retailers, furniture companies, even lawn and garden businesses.
Okay.
And across the board, they're seeing strong returns.
So even though people might be holding back on big purchases right now,
Yeah.
investors are confident that these companies are going to grow in the future.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, the home is always going to be important.
Right.
And these companies are figuring out how to innovate and stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they're betting on the long game. They're recognizing that, people always need housing, the potential of smart homes. And these companies are good at adapting to what people want.
Exactly. All right, so let's get specific. Who are some of these investor darlings?
Yeah. Give us some examples of companies in these indexes.
Well, in the home goods retailers category, you've got your giants.
Yeah.
Like Amazon, Target, Walmart.
Right.
Massive reach, proven track record.
Yeah, I'm more curious about those niche companies.
Okay.
What are they doing to stand out?
So in the furniture and home furnishings index,
Okay.
you see companies like RH, Ethan Allen, La-Z-Boy performing well.
It's interesting how each of them has kind of a different approach. You've got RH with that luxury feel, Ethan Allen, classic craftsmanship, and then La-Z-Boy, well, they're all about comfort.
Exactly. And that diversity is part of what makes the sector so dynamic. There's room for all these different strategies.
It creates a lot of opportunity.
Exactly. What about the lawn and garden sector?
Oh, yeah. Are those companies seeing the same level of investor confidence?
Absolutely. Companies like Scott's Miracle-Gro Toro benefiting from that increased interest in gardening and outdoor living.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
People are spending more time at home.
Right.
They want their yards to look good.
Exactly. And I think there's something to be said for, with all the stress in the world,
Yeah.
gardening has become a way to connect with nature, get some exercise, feel a sense of peace.
Yeah, it's like a return to basics.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And it speaks to that underlying strength of the home goods sector overall.
Okay.
It's connected to these basic human needs.
Right.
Shelter, comfort, beauty, connection.
I like that. So we've got strategic buyers making moves, financial investors showing confidence, public companies showing their resilience.
Yeah.
Sounds like the home goods sector is weathering the storm. But are there any, clouds on the horizon?
Well, even with all these positive signs, there are still some potential challenges ahead.
Okay.
The report does highlight concerns about the impact of consolidation on competition and consumer choice.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's great that these companies are finding ways to grow,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want consumers to get squeezed.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance between, fostering innovation
Right.
and ensuring a fair and competitive market.
It's something that needs to be watched.
Absolutely. One thing we haven't discussed much is sustainability.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
How might that factor into future M&A activity?
It's a great question. It's becoming more important in every industry.
Right.
And home goods is no different. Consumers are more aware of the environmental impact of their choices.
Yeah.
They want products made with sustainable materials.
It makes sense. People want their homes to be beautiful and functional,
Yeah.
but they also want to feel good about, the impact their choices have on the planet.
Absolutely. So how might this affect companies looking to, buy or merge with others?
Yeah.
Well, companies with strong sustainability track records are going to be very attractive acquisition targets.
Oh, interesting.
They can bring a lot of value to a larger company trying to improve its own environmental footprint.
Yeah, it's like a shortcut to becoming more eco-conscious.
Exactly. And it's not just about attracting buyers, it's
Yeah.
about appealing to those consumers.
Of course.
Companies that demonstrate a commitment to sustainability gain a competitive edge.
Right, because they're tapping into that growing segment of consumers who are willing to pay a premium for eco-friendly products.
Exactly. So it sounds like sustainability is more than a trend. It's a real shift in how businesses operate and how consumers make decisions.
Really.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the home goods market.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a trend worth watching. But now let's shift gears a little bit
I'd-
and talk about some specific insights from Capstone's managing director, Ken Wasik.
Okay.
He has some interesting thoughts on this whole M&A frenzy. So we've covered a lot of ground today,
Yeah.
from, pandemic-driven market shifts to the surprising surge in M&A activity.
Yeah, it's clear this industry is anything but predictable.
Right. We started talking about inflation and interest rates and how those things are influencing consumer spending.
Right. And then that led us to, why M&A activity is booming, even with the current economic challenges.
Mm-hmm.
We saw both strategic and financial buyers driving these deals.
Each with their own motivations.
Exactly. And then as we dug into those deals, we saw how they reflect those larger trends, like the shift to online shopping
Yeah,
and the demand for smart home tech.
exactly. It's like each deal is a piece of the puzzle, and when you put them all together, you get a glimpse into the future of this industry.
And that future includes a lot of optimism.
Yeah.
We talked about how public companies in this sector are performing well,
Mm-hmm.
even outpacing the broader market sometimes.
Yeah. It seems investors are betting on that long-term potential of home goods.
They are recognizing the resilience of these companies, their ability to adapt to what consumers want, and that fundamental need that we all have for everything related to the home.
Absolutely. But as with any dynamic market, there are also challenges.
Right. And potential downsides to consider.
We discussed the need for balance between growth and competition.
Yeah.
While consolidation can be good for innovation and efficiency, it also has the potential to limit choices
Mm-hmm.
and drive prices up.
Right. That's something that needs to be monitored.
Definitely. And you mentioned earlier, sustainability is another big factor.
Absolutely.
Consumers are increasingly making decisions based on a company's, environmental track record.
For sure. I'm
Yeah.
glad we talked about that because it really is a fundamental shift
Yeah.
in how both businesses and consumers think and act.
It'll be interesting to see how these companies respond to this demand for more eco-conscious practices.
Absolutely. Sustainability will continue to play a big role in shaping this industry.
Mhm.
Now, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I wanted to share what really stood out to me in this report.
Okay. What was it?
I think it's the reminder that even in a world that feels so complex and uncertain, some things remain constant. The home will always be a fundamental human need.
A place of comfort, security, personal expression.
Yeah.
And the companies that understand that,
Right.
the ones that can adapt and innovate, will be the ones that thrive.
Well said. That's a great takeaway.
And on that note, I'd like to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
We've talked about how smart home technology is changing things.
Yeah.
But what we haven't really explored is the potential impact of AI.
Oh, interesting.
How might AI personalize our home experiences?
Right.
Could it anticipate our needs? What ethical considerations will come up as our homes become more intelligent?
Those are some great questions.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to think about as we continue to watch this space evolve. So to our listeners, keep an eye out for how AI might be shaping the future of your homes.
Yeah.
And until next time, happy diving.